Cool. We are back, and this time we are ranking the custom classes instead of the custom items. This is probably will be my favorite one to do. Making custom classes is actually my favorite thing to do for plugins. I would say that's probably my specialty. All devs of Chaos 3 kind of have their like niche kind of specialty, like program. It mostly focuses on quality of life plugins, and then plus this Funny Pills plugin. Granted I do like basically all the gameplay programming stuff, uh, but my specialty has definitely been creating custom classes, and it's probably my favorite thing to do. Um, uh, but yeah, uh, and unlike the custom items, where a lot of them are created by Matrix, um, besides like ones that most of the custom items I created are either like a beginning when I was first starting to code, or stuff specifically for custom classes because I much prefer making abilities and stuff or like custom class variants. Um, but yeah. Time to begin. So like most of these, probably 90% of these honestly, are made by me. Um, Brute. I feel it's a B tier. It's such an OG class. This was an unlimited class made by Barrel, even by unlimited standards. Pretty sure this is like one of the first classes that Barrel made. So it holds such a place in your heart. It's probably not as good as a lot of other classes, to be honest. I might be overestimating it by putting it in B tier, but just because of how much nostalgia it has, along with okay, it honestly as a D class, like if it was like a chaos or an MTF class, it wouldn't be like it'd probably be D tier. But it's pretty good for escaping. I mean, you can get into 914 easily. All you have to do is upgrade your coin to like a zone manager. You don't even need anything more than that. Like course out, like from wherever you course to, like just get to a gate. You can easily open the gate and boom, like home free. Like it's makes escaping a lot easier. And then especially with the addition that we added, where you basically become a juggernaut, honestly the class is actually pretty solid. The more I think about it. Okay. Um, Next we have uh dwarf. Dwarf was one. I remember when we added this. This is technically not originally coded by me, but it was. Okay, well, technically it was actually something made by Barrel originally. And I remember when we were random when we got the unlimited plugins, we went through like the random unfinished special classes that Barrel had in the RA, and we found a dwarf, and we're like, we need this, and we ended up adding. That was like one of the few things. the, the 9 months where we had devs that basically did nothing. That was like one of the few things that we did have added. It was basically just Barrel had already did all the work for it. It was just adding it into the spawn system. But uh, but honestly, like being small, I don't know. It's B tier. Especially okay when you escape, especially and get like a gun. Like being small is such an advantage in fights. Um, Head guard. Oh, okay, wait, I think we have like all the guards basically coming up. Um, mm, uh, the guards, honestly, on this server, the special class guards, they make guards so much more powerful, and I love it. It makes guards feel not so pointless to be, because if you just stick to your special class guards as a group, you guys can absolutely destroy the SCP. I mean, you guys have everything. You have like more damage. You have a way to heal. You have a way to stall the SCPs. It's great. The guards are great. Head guards specifically. Oh, do I put it S tier? Oh, S or A, S or A, S or A. I'm gonna go A. Though on the edge of maybe being S. Head guard, especially you can shred the SCPs. The amount of like it's such a good like support role that feels good. Like um, 'cause if you just have all of your guards shooting it, like a thing that you're doing more damage on, you will shred the SCPs. Head guard is so fun, and also just the fact that you spawn with an Epsilon at the beginning of the round is just so fun because I fucking love Epsilon 11 gun. Um, just one of my favorite roles to play. Um, Medic Guard. You know, I feel like I should be doing. They're basically the same thing except the MTF Medic has a bit more items. Um, I'm gonna do this. I mean, the Medic. Both of these are OG unlimited SCP classes, so they'll forever hold like a special place in my heart. And I also like they're kind of like the barrel classes are kind of classes that I don't really ever want to change. I mean, sure, I've made a couple. Like I changed the zone manager a bit, and I changed the cell guard because just how much like community wanted kind of a difference. And I feel like I did a pretty good job. I think making the classes more fun and enjoyable to the community. But like for the most part, I don't like changing barrel classes because they're just so I don't know, nostalgic. And I don't know. I mean, if you're good at utilizing the medic gun, I mean, both these classes are pretty good. I just don't want to put the C tier. I mean, if you look on a scale of like overall, sure, the medic guard isn't like the most OP special class, but I feel in with his use as a guard, like his use as a guard, I feel can be so like useful, especially as like against an 049 at the beginning of the game. Zone manager. Oh, I almost want to put this A tier also. Oh, mm, I'm gonna put it B tier, but maybe like, on the edge of A tier. Um, Honestly, the hack device I feel especially in the zone manager's hand, like in a guard's hand, one of my favorite changes I made from Barrel's plugins because the hack device was based on a Barrel plugin. Because originally, I don't remember what the hack device was called in Barrel's plugin, but it spawned on the Serpent's Hand hacker, which wasn't really useful. I personally feel like a lot of people agreed with that because I don't know, using locking a door doesn't really help you much against humans, but against SCPs, it is so useful. And especially such early game as a guard, you can save your entire team with it. It's just Zone Manager is probably one of my favorite reworks I've done from the old Zone Manager where it was just like light containment and with the FN5 to something that was like actually a useful guard, while still I feel keeping the overall spirit of Barrel's Zone Manager, but making it more fun to play. I, I definitely think that it was I don't know, I really like the class. Assassin. Mm. You know, something assassin and Kevlar unit face I feel is the fact that, and I'm not really sure exactly how to combat this problem, is the fact that you don't feel its effects. Something that's such a passive effect that you can't really like getting damage reduction or doing more damage isn't something you can easily get um, like feedback from. So like most abilities, like you kind of can see its effect, it's tangible. But like with the assassin and like Kevlar unit, like, a lot of people say it like, or like especially with Kevlar unit, people are like, oh, it doesn't really do much. I mean, it does. It does more than you would think. The problem is there isn't an easy way to gauge it. Actually, since I'm talking about the Kepler, we might as well be judging it also. But so that's, and I'm not really sure how to combat this problem, but I don't want to like rework or specifically rework the Kepler unit's ability because it's another barrel class. Um, but I feel like it's definitely an ability that you don't notice, and I definitely think it's useful, but as an ability that you can't get like really feedback for, it makes it hard to like really enjoy the class per se. Um, Assassin. I feel a lot of people aren't super gung ho about the class. I personally, honestly, the reason why I put this here, it's not for the assassin's ability, but it's because it spawns with an epsilon as a second, so it spawns with an AK and an epsilon. I personally hate chaos weapons. I hate the AK. I'm a very much an MTF lover weapons. I love 11s. I like prospects. So I don't enjoy playing Chaos as much as I do MTF purely because I just don't like the guns. So spawning, it's why you might see a lot of Chaos classes that I've made have Epsilons on them because I, or different gun options because I just hate playing like the Chaos guns. So honestly, one reason why I like the class is purely just because I can use an Epsilon instead of the Chaos weapons. But honestly, I mean, it, this class is also a class I tried a new concept on. It's something I don't like to do often, even though it's something that's been requested a lot. It's making downsides to classes. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, to balance out like an upside, you make a downside, and there's a big reason why I don't do this. It's because I don't want a special class. I'll call it the counter unit effect. Honestly, that's the best way to count it, is the counter unit effect, where you get to the point where if there's a downside to a special class, that makes someone not want to play it, then people will be wishing that they were spawning as a base game class over a special class, and I don't want that. Like, I don't want to be like someone to spawn and be like, damn it, I just wish I was a normal class instead of the stupid special class, which is why I don't add downsides to classes. But this is the first class that I did add a passive downside to, but only because having just passive, like having more damage is just so OP that I had to make a counter to it. it Even though you still technically do more damage on a one-on-one battle where you're fighting someone, you'll still technically be doing more damage, but it's basically, I don't know, it kind of like fits with the idea of an assassin. It's like when you get the jump on someone, it's basically an execution, but if they get the jump on you, you're kind of squishy. But yeah. Um, Also, what I mean by the counter unit effect is counter unit's probably one of the few classes. The lovers of a counter unit uh, love playing it, but as if you're not really good at the game, counter unit's basically a death sentence. So it's a class that a lot of people don't necessarily like playing as, but I fucking love the counter unit. It's not getting removed. But we eventually do plan on adding a feature sometime in the future where you can choose to blacklist a class so it won't spawn you as it. Uh, but I don't know. I love the counter units. Um, okay. Bomber. Um, Dude, I'm pretty sure this is a class that a lot of people put in at S tier. I wouldn't say it's necessarily S tier though. I'm gonna go A tier. I mean, spawning with a pink candy is honestly pretty like dope. It's literally just a suicide class, though. I mean, I even added the ability of its martyrdom grenade that drops a live grenade of death. I feel like if you're someone who loves like exploding the heck out of people, then this is the class for you. And I definitely find it fun. Honestly, it's definitely also a class that I feel like is really good at taking out the county. There's a couple classes I feel are kind of like the bane of counter units and kind of like its balance for the counter units, even though the counter units kind of have a a advantage, a gun advantage against the Phantom, Bomber, and Stalker. I feel are counter units. Um, like the specific classes that I feel like if you're one of those classes, you should be trying to focus on like counter unit. I mean, Stalker and Phantom I feel like are pretty self-explanatory, but the Bomber, I mean, one you could always go and explode them, but something that I more commonly do, the speed effect. You always spawn with a speed enhancer, which I kind of use. I did originally because it just makes bombing people easier. Because yes, um, but being able to close the distance between counter units. I mean, you'd have to be uh, good at guns, but if you can just closing the distance using the speed adrenaline, um, you can easily like one of the things I usually do with bombers, I run up there with the speed adrenaline. I'll take out all the counter units by shooting because you close the distance, making it no longer a long range fight, which is what counter units excel at is the long range fight. Commando. You know, I think I've only ever played as the class as like once, honestly. It might be A tier. I mean, the MGFRO is such an OP gun that, and how good the class is, it might be A tier. Though I don't feel it has as nuance or as flair as a lot of the other special classes, because all the only difference about it is it's nuanced with the new gun, um, basically a counterpart. I mean, something I like, and it's something also Barrel seemed to do with this plugin, something I try to do too, is n- not making like because like base game it's like uh Chaos have their weapons, MTF have their weapons. And something we like to do though is kind of let both sides use both weapons. So I felt like it was only fair that the Chaos would also be able to get to use the MGFRO. Um, Enhancement Specialist. I think that's one of the first special classes. I'm tempted to put it in D tier, but it was like the first special class I ever made, so C tier. I feel honestly it kind of depends. You get two random enhancers. If you get the good enhancers, it can be really useful. If you get the bad enhancers, or not the bad enhancers, but the less good enhancers, um, it can kind of change like kind of how it feels to spawn as the class. It's a very support oriented class. Like, I mean, you spawn with the neuro enhancer, um, but if you're not someone who likes supporting other people, then the class kind of like fall flat. But pretty sure it's the very first class that I made. Like that wasn't a barrel class. Like we remade the barrel classes, of course, and but like the first kind of new class, I'm pretty sure it had to have been. I'm probably 99% sure this is the first class that was made. Um, if I'm wrong though, please someone tell me because this feels like so long ago. Hunter. Oh, I'm tempted to put it in B tier. I'm gonna be real. I feel like Hunter is a class that a lot of people don't appreciate. And I don't know. I feel like I appreciate it more than C tier, but I feel like there's gonna be a lot of B tier classes that are better than it though. So I kind of feel bad for putting it in C tier. Hunter is, I mean, is the counterpart of Tracker. Um, I don't know. It's kind of inspired by a Valorant feel almost. If you ever play like Valorant or another game that requires like game sense or like knowledge can be really helpful. It's kind of what I wanted to bring to the plugins in SL because if you're not someone who can really utilize knowledge well, I mean, the class is basically useless to you because it's based all around about knowing what's around you. Um, but if you're someone who's good at utilizing knowledge, I mean, I personally really like the class just because knowing what's around you and how to plan accordingly for it can be very helpful. Um, but it's not a class that like will directly like give you a buff. It's it's knowledge is power almost. It's the cipher of SL basically. Mhm. Okay, next class, Juggernaut. Ooh, that's another OG barrel class. Ooh, do I B or A? I think it's a B. Um, 180 health. Honestly, it gives you an edge in every battle. I remember the Juggernaut used to be more health than that. I remember at one point he was like extreme amount of health back in Unlimited. Mm, mm, Maniac. Actually, I take it back. Technically, this was the first class I added, though it didn't take much coding. It's just it changes the inventory. So technic so yeah, but I don't know. Spawning with the Con 45 is cool. Maybe not super useful. I mean, it depends. Short range battles, yes, good class. Long range battles, not so much. I mean, I wouldn't say it's as cool as a lot of the other classes, but I mean, getting to spawn with a Con 45 is fucking funny. So, janitor. It's not a bad class, and it's a barrel class. I love it because it's a barrel class, but if we're basing it on necessarily how fun to play, I mean, you spawn different spawn location, you get a couple different items, and you can clean up shit. I mean, it's not like super cool like a lot of other abilities. Um, and I kind of have to space. I mean, someone has to go in D tier eventually. I mean, I still love the class, but someone's gonna go in D tier eventually. Phantom, also known as the Counter Unit Destroyer, um, also a barrel class. You know, we're gonna rank versus sniper because they're basically the same class, but not basically the same tech. Hot class, hot take, phantom, sniper. Hot take, they are not the same. Um, okay, one phantom is such a cool name. Beryl W coming up with that idea, or he might have stolen it from somewhere. Who knows? I mean, they both have a sniper. Something I don't know. I love bullying the counter units as Phantom. I think that's what makes it better. Is you have some like meat right there for you to fucking kill and like bully. Um, whereas Sniper you don't necessarily have humans. It's also kind of like their goals. Chaos's goal isn't to fight SCPs necessarily. I mean, they kind of changed a bit, but I would say Chaos's focus is killing humans, and what are snipers good at? Killing humans, not SCPs. Meanwhile, MTF's main goal. I mean, they have to kill humans, but like also their main goal is like SCPs, which is I feel the sniper isn't as powerful against SCPs. So I'll take Phantom better class than sniper. Savage. Okay, we're gonna. Where's these are kind of almost meme classes because I mean the A7 was added and I was like, yes, let's do a counterpart for both of them. And I mean, they're not necessarily the best class. The A7 isn't that good of a gun. But, I mean, honestly, they're kind of fun to play, especially since you don't really get the A7 anywhere else unless you decide to go make it 914. It's fun to get to use the gun, but the class itself, I mean, probably not the best class to play as. Um, Squad leader. Dude, squad leader is forever the class that just needs to keep getting buffed. I've kind of buffed it multiple times already, and I still have kind of another buff plan for it, but um I mean, it has the machine gun, which I feel makes it better, but compared to a lot of the other classes, I would say it's not necessarily um, as good. Um, yeah, Stalker, A tier, another OG barrel class, and actually, this is probably my one of my favorite, definitely OG barrel classes. I mean, just the fact. I mean, I mean, what do you see in common between my favorite chaos classes? They all have a E11 to use instead of a chaos gun. Um, and I mean, cat like it's a fun class. It's a fun class. It's useful. Um, and it's an OG armor specialist. Ooh, this is I had fun making that class. Um, B tier. Um, it's pretty useful. I mean, having 30 extra HP that's constantly regenerating. Uh, it's definitely useful, and I feel like it's very it's same kind of feel as Kevlar unit. The only difference, which I feel I did good in this one. I mean, this is an old barrel class, but what I did this one is the and why it feels better than Kevlar unit is I wouldn't even necessarily say it that from a gameplay perspective that honestly I need someone to test it out. I want to see QA go and actually like by damage perspective who takes more damage over time if you do like the same damage of who actually is like getting less damage. Um, but the reason why this one feels so much better than Kevlar unit is because of the feedback you get, like, because you can tell how it's helping you. Like, unlike Kevlar unit, where it's just something passively happening that you can't, like, see. Armor specialist, you can actually tell how it's helping you. You can tell when it's helping you and it's why it feels better. Containment specialist. I think this is my favorite class that Matrix ever made. Um, Matrix didn't make that many special classes. Besides, he made actually a lot of limited ones again. The base, so um, kind of set them up. I also we both set them up actually. He made a lot of the D class ones, like basically all of them. Because a lot of them have been rewritten since. But containment specialist is probably my favorite new class that Matrix made. Um, I mean SRA was already like cool item. Containment specialist used the SRA. Honestly, one of my favorite classes to play, and it's just really useful and really unique. It has a really unique feel to it. Oh look, we have our first S tier class counter unit. probably the most controversial class besides 035 that we have in the game. And I fucking love the class, and people hate me for it. Um, I feel like Carrion is the type of class that if you look on anyone's tier list, it'll either be S tier or D tier, and there's no in between. Um, 'Cause you either love playing Carrion or you hate playing Carrion, and and the people who hate playing Carrion, it's because they're bad at the game. So, kidding, not really. Just it's fun. I don't know, something about having all the odds stacked against you and killing a bunch of people. It's just way more like I don't know. You spawn as chaos, and it's like always kind of like you have to like do stuff. You have to find people. Kind of you know your enemies are coming, and it's so much more intense than playing as chaos. Detachment commander. Do I put A or S tier? I'm gonna go A tier. It's such an OG class, an OG good class. I mean, I feel like ally pills might make the ability or the detachment commander not seem as good, especially since the reinforcements themselves aren't necessarily the best reinforcements, actually, especially compared to an ally pill where they get kind of the full inventory and detachment reinforcements don't. But I mean, honestly, it's such an OG, and you spawn like two of them, and it's like ability that you can use multiple times. I don't know. I love my detachment commander. Attachment reinforcements, I mean, there's nothing really special about them. I mean, that's kind of the point is that the reinforcements, there's nothing per se special about them. Um, but yeah, but they spawn with the old private cards, so that makes them special now. Uh, Okay, Gunslinger. Oh, another OG barrel class. Honestly, it being a barrel class, all of these barrel classes are honestly S tier in my heart purely because they're made by Barrel. But from a gameplay standpoint, okay. So the gunslinger and the point of the gunslinger, kind of like what I was talking about before, is the idea of giving a chance for the other side to use the guns that were originally not meant for them. It's all chaos guns. The problem is, I fucking hate chaos guns. The only chaos gun I like is the Logicer. Unfortunately, that's not one of the guns the gunslinger spawns with. It's all the guns that I fucking hate. Like, out of all the guns in the entire game, what are my three least favorite guns? It's the guns on the gunslinger. So for that reason, it's D tier for me. For people who like Chaos Guns, I mean, it's probably enjoyable class to play for you. Um, I personally cry inside because I'm like, no, I have to use Chaos Guns when I'm in MTF. Um, yeah. Mm, yeah. That's all. Okay, next, Rusher. Rusher was the original S tier class back in Unlimited. It's the original S tier. I mean, no other S tier came before Rusher. Rusher. If anyone put Rusher on their tier list as anything below S tier, their whole tier list is invalid. It's just such a good class. Like just being faster in and of itself is already such a nice passive buff. But the fact that you can drink four coals without taking damage is just so OP. It's probably the only custom class I'd say it's OP to the point where it's probably broken almost. But the community won't let me nerf Rusher. I'm pretty sure I'll get staked and like crucified alive if I decide to nerf Rusher. So it's kind of just the one class where I can just kind of accept that it's OP and it's gonna be OP. Um, but yeah, Rusher. Honestly, Rusher's probably it was my favorite class on Unlimited, and I wouldn't necessarily it's my all-time favorite now, but Rusher will always hold a special place in my heart. And I remember back on Unlimited, I remember Reed. He wanted to take away the ability for Rusher to stack colas without taking damage, which maybe from a gameplay perspective is better, but nobody wants that. It's like the whole Rusher gimmick. Um, and I remember how much me and another Unlimited staff were like, "No, please don't. It's the whole point of the Rusher." Uh, but yeah, no, Rusher best class. Okay, Heavy Duty Commander. Oh, God, this class. Yeah, I think put that A tier also. I mean, MGFRO, such a broken item. The fact that it spawns with more health and a bigger mag MGFR just FRO just makes it just demolishes everything. It's great. It's great. I love the class. I was people call me insane for making that class, but I love it. I love it. Neutralizer. Oh, another class I made. Um, I know there's definitely, I would say, some community members who absolutely love the Trent gun, who love that class. Even though I made the Trent gun, I wouldn't say it's necessarily my favorite item to use. Neutralizer is actually a class that I have on my rework list. Rework slash buff list. There's a couple classes I have that I plan on. I mean, I have a bunch of classes I plan on adding still, and like a rework. I'm eventually going to do like a whole rework of certain classes, and Neutralizer is on it. But it's basically just a different cell guard, which I feel doesn't do it justice. Um, Scout. Oh, hot take. Russia's better than Scout, even though it's the exact same ability. Um, I just feel like in the context of Russia, you have easier chance to get more colas. I mean, don't get me wrong, Scout's still such a. I, I kind of feel like it's a crime not putting it in S tier, but I feel like it's a bit harder to get extra colas on Scout. But it's still such a good class to use when fighting against SCPs because you're just so mobile. Um, honestly, I kind of feel bad. I kind of want to put it in S tier now. Mm, no, we're gonna say the S tier. Suppressor. That's another recent class I made because I wanted to kind of go, yeah, run with the idea of letting other sides use their weapons and MTF Lieutenant that can use a Logister. I mean, that's Shog. I mean, a Logister is a fun, good gun to play. B tier. I also like the name. I don't know. One of my staff members, I actually forget who came up with that name. It's a good name. Tracker. Oh, B tier. Um, Tracker is um an, another class I made. Tracking gun. Uh, I think if you like knowledge and stuff, I mean, it's very similar to the hunter, except uh, I feel it's a bit more beginner. Like a hunter, you really have to kind of like use the knowledge. This you can use it more for like hunting down something like an SCP. Um, I don't know. I feel like the tracking gun is so useful. It might be even underrated almost. Um, but you can just get so much information from your target on it and make such good informed choices. I don't know. I really like the tracker. Wraith. God. Ugh. Wraith S tier. This is probably one of my favorite classes that I have made. Um, and it also has a very kind of like the assassin. It had a very has a very unique take to how the ability works that doesn't really fit with how because we tend to have kind of a way that abilities usually work. Um, and this one worked a lot different. Um, with the fact it's the first ability that doesn't have a cooldown. And instead is your cooldown is basically your health. It's you can use the ability as much as you want, but it's at the cost of how much damage you want to take. I feel like I don't know. I feel like it kind of scales with how well you're doing. So if you have a lot of meds, have a lot of 500s, you could just keep going invisible and fast and utilize it so much. If you don't, then sucks. Um, I don't. It's such a useful class to play, and I don't know. I just everything about it. Like I love the name. Wraith is such an edgy name, and it just fits so well. And just I don't, I just love the class. Wraith is one of my favorite classes. Spy, S tier. Hot take though, always turn into an MTF spy. Nobody ever expects the MTF spy, but fuck you, program. Great, fucking great MTF spy, but it always kills me. But no, I mean, okay. I don't get why there's some people who like dislike the spy. And I know a lot of people have like wanted the spy to become serpents, which I'm not going to do because I don't know. People complain a lot about getting killed by SCPs as a spy. When I mean that's kind of the point. Like I don't think people realize that like you're not supposed to just have it super easy just because you spawn as a spy. It's not supposed to be like, oh, you get everything you want. You just automatically can't die. Like you get a more advantage over just a normal class because you can like trick people. It's not supposed to be like so easy to the point where you could just never worry about anything. But I don't know. I feel like being able to disguise is such a useful trait, um, especially when you can turn into an MTF spy and like make people really, really confused. I have so many good cast spy and MTF spy clips where it's just you just trick people. It's just so fun. Spy is great. Okay. 035 S tier. 035 along with Counting Unit is also one of our most controversial plugins, though not because of playing it, because of playing against it. Um, I would definitely say playing against 035 has a learning curve. I don't know, playing it as 035 is it's so fun and unique, and I mean getting to use guns as an SCP is just like it's just fun. 035 is fun and OP, and it's a great class. It's also a barrel class. Barrel was the one who originally made it, and O35 is fun. It's great. I also really like our O35 because it's so different. Like every other server that has O35, it's like completely like it's like basically the same thing with like the item, and ours is a total different thing, and that's what I love about it. Okay, zombie special. I mean, so the other tier list is there's literally like almost 50 zombie special classes, so I wasn't gonna shove them all on this tier list because that would have just been mostly it would have been a mostly zombie tier list. So I made a whole separate tier list for them. I decided to just loop them all into one thing as overall zombie tier special classes S tier. Honestly, Serpent's Hand has been my favorite plugin for the longest time on the server, though the zombie special classes might rival and might even beat my love for like Serpents. It's definitely one of my favorite plugins on the server. It just makes zombies so fun to play, and I don't know. It solves for the most part like the zombie problem of wanting to kill yourself as a zombie because they're just not fun to play. It's just and just the amount of variety and how many zombie special classes we made. Um, I don't know. I'm really proud. 'Cause it just makes it so much more immersive and just fun to play as zombie. Serpent's Enhancer. Hot take. Serpent's Enhancer has the saddest lore out of any of our special classes. Um, in regards, actually I've played it a good couple of times. B tier. Um, I feel like the SCP Enhancer um, can be a very useful item to use to buff your SCPs, and also getting two enhancer items can definitely help you in battle. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a fun class to play, and the lore is just even better. Executioner. I know Executioner is a lot of people's favorite class to play as, which I'm glad. I mean, we made that class, and I'm glad people love playing the Executioner. I personally am not a melee person. I'm not a big Jailbird fan. So the Executioner for me falls a bit more flat. Um, it's probably my least favorite Serpents to play as. Granted, I'm always happy to play Serpents no matter what class I spawn as. Serpents is literally the greatest plugin ever. Um, but probably my least favorite one to spawn as is Executioner, as I'm just not a melee person. But I know there's a huge crowd of people who that is their favorite Serpents. But yeah, Hacker. Oh god, hackers have gone through so many. It's like probably it's been the most reworked class. Like I've reworked it multiple times at this point, and I might do it again, honestly. I feel like I don't know. Hacker and also we'll talk about Warper too are the two big brain classes. Like most of the classes we try to keep very simple and somewhat newbie friendly. So it's not hard to understand, but that kind of goes all out the window when it comes to Hacker and Warper, which are a bit more hard to use. Um, but I feel like have a lot of reward if you learn how to use them well. Um, I feel like Hacker, I have not had much of a chance. Like, it's honestly, like, spawning a serpents is hard enough, and then considering we have like 9 serpents classes now, like, getting the right one, it's like hard. Like, I don't even know it. I don't think I've ever had, like, I think I've spawned as it like twice since I reworked it, and both times I got like immediately killed by 500i, aka my reason why I fucking hate 500i. So I haven't really had the chance to truly play as a hacker. But I do think a lot of people like it a lot more after the rework, and I'm proud of the rework I did of it. It definitely It's like the one and only class that has multiple abilities. Because most of the classes only have really one ability associated, and that's kind of like a rule I have is one ability per class, and hacker is kind of like the one class that kind of breaks that rule. Um, but I don't know. I feel like it's fun. Okay, Warper. Same thing kind of with hacker, where it's also kind of requires big brain understanding. I know a lot of people kind of get confused when they spawn as the first time. I'm honestly not really sure how to make the explanation for it better necessarily. Um, Warper is a class that I honestly want to add map editor stuff to its teleporters that we might end up doing. But um, God, I fucking love Warper. I haven't played it too much, but when I created the class, um, I really love the concept of Warper. I feel like it's a class that when you get good at it and learn how to flank well with it, it's so fun. Like just being able to basically teleport anywhere. It I don't know, it's just fun. I really love the concept. It's like big brain concepts. I enjoy like teleportation stuff. I don't know why. I just do. Leader. SRA, SRA, SRA. I'm gonna go A tier. My I would say it's my favorite. Um, Serpent's class. I don't know. There's something about it. It's honestly it's so good, especially used in tandem with SCPs because it boosts SCP damage, it boosts Serpent's damage, it boosts O35 damage. It's just your allies are so much better around you. It's the head guard equivalent, but Serpents. Essentially, I mean, that quite literally is what my intention was. I took the idea of head guard and kind of changed the way the ability works, but it's the same principle essentially. Um, because like the head guard ability on an SCP team wouldn't really work as well because it's like if you're shooting a human, like shooting someone as a way to trigger like getting more damage is good for an SCP because they take a lot of damage. But if you're shooting some like a human, it doesn't do as much because if you're shooting a human, I mean they're gonna like probably die soon. So instead, like the concept of just being nearby someone, I don't know, it just works better with SCPs and the fact that Serpents is sponsored with an E11, my favorite gun. It makes the class more fun. I don't know. I love the leader. Rogue. Oh god, Rogue. Do I put this A tier or B tier? Oh god, I know I'm biased. Like I don't know. Serpents are just such a good class that all of them honestly deserve to be S tier. Um, but the fact that I'm not actually going to put any of the serpents in A tier is kind of a crime in itself. But if there was a thing that said serpent special classes as like a plug-in concept, I would put that S tier because I don't know, serpents is my favorite thing on the server. But Rogue, for any of you guys who play Valorant, Serpent's Rogue is like the Reyna of SL. It's a completely useless class if you can't get kills, and basically just plays as a normal class if you can't get kills. But if you're good at getting kills, this class will help you get more kills. Uh, it just helps you pop from one kill to the next, and it helps you get out of danger after like it just basically the concept of the class. I mean, quite literally, I use Reyna from Valorant as my kind of inspiration for the class, but um, repositioning is basically the whole concept of the class. Is you have an ability, either the movement boost or the invisibility, to reposition yourself after a kill. And I'm I'm okay at getting kills, so AKA why it's A tier for me because I can utilize it for anyone who can't get a kill. It's probably D tier for you because you can't ever gain use from its ability. Serpent Shapeshifter. Oh, that's another A tier. Um, I feel like I don't know. This is kind of Shapeshifter is a bit more of a trolley class almost. I mean, it brings back the old concept that I really liked. Um, the what is it? The old pills on Unlimited that would make serpents look like SCPs. I don't know. It's just fun to look like an SCP. It's fun to trick people. Honestly, I think it's totally useful. Some people disagree, but I don't know. Making someone think that you're a 9/6 and then shooting them in the face. It's just fun. It's fun. Serpent Soldier. I'm gonna put that B tier. Um, I don't think it's as, I mean, it's not as like my favorite as like the ones in like the A tier, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's still totally useful. I mean, especially after now that it has, it's basically, it honestly is the perfect conditioned soldier. Like it fits the law. I mean, you have the green juice effect, so like all of your like reflexes are faster. So you can already like reload your gun, you're fast. But if you don't even need to reload your gun, I mean, your gun like regains ammo. It's just, it's the perfect class for go 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 combat. Specialist, B tier. At one point, back on the limited, specialist was probably hands down. There's the three classes. I'm pretty sure it was only three barrel serpents. It was the specialist, the old hacker, which worked way different than my hacker. It basically had the hack device, and the soldier, which just had its 127 gun that couldn't reload. Um, and I would say specialist was probably the best serpents class. I don't know, hyper adrenaline. I don't know, especially since, like I don't know all of my new classes. I don't know like some of these. I don't know it maybe like some of these have more fun abilities, but I don't know. But I don't know, specialist was an OG class, and I don't know, hyperdrive is honestly such a good item, but maybe the fact that I don't know, we need to fix the fact that they like three hyperdrenalines sometimes just randomly spawn in a locker on surface, which makes the item economy kind of messed up because hyperdrenaline's not supposed to be that common necessarily. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like specialist, but it probably isn't. It's not as top tier as it used to be with considering all the new serpents classes. Test subject A tier. I mean, being able to go invisible, I mean, it's such a powerful thing to do. I mean, sure, you can't full control it, but I mean, you can kind of manipulate it, and it can definitely help get you out of tough situations, especially with SCPs. So honestly, it's just a good class. Serpent Recruit. I mean, I'm gonna put it B tier because it's kind of like a blank slate serpent, but definitely if you're comparing it to escaping, I mean, I will always choose to become a serpent's recruit over any other escape class. I quite literally, when I make it to surface, like in a really good fast time, I will throw away a good escape time just to wait for the serpents to spawn so I can become a serpent's recruit because it's so fun playing serpents. And also you get like a free SCP item, so it's like a double win. Magnetic Researcher. I'm pretty sure everyone put this D tier. It's another one on my list of need to buff. I mean, its ability is pretty just, mid compared to like any other ability. I mean, it's a scientist class that spawns at the beginning of the game. It's not really supposed to be something OP, but I do want to kind of rework slash buff its ability eventually, and I am able to. Um, okay. Vigilante. Let me go B tier. Um, I mean, custom it's basically I mean sure it's under the scientist question, but what it really is a custom class guard because scientists don't turn into a vigilante. It replaces a guard class, which I mean honestly that already makes it a win because playing as base game guard isn't that fun. Um I don't know, vigilante it's fun, it's unique, and it's a barrel class. Um yeah, server technician. Okay, I know a lot of people hate this class. I personally love the server technician class. Oh, do I go A tier? I'm gonna go A tier just to piss people off. Um, okay. To be fair, the ability of the server technician right now is kind of disabled, so it doesn't really do any of its 079 stuff. I might end up just reworking it eventually because I'm not sure when I can bring computer stuff back because it causes the infinite lockdown bug. Um, but I don't know. I know the reason why I like the server technician is the reason why a lot of people hate it is because it spawns in heavy. I know a lot of people it could be like a death sentence at the very beginning of the game. But I mean, if you're good, it can mean you escape a lot faster. And I really like playing Super Technician because you basically get free reign of all the SCP objects in Heavy because you spawn with a card that can open the SCP boxes. So you can just go around getting like all those SCP boxes. You can also get the Lieutenant card really fast and escape fast. I don't know. I feel like if you don't get like fucked by an SCP at the very beginning, it can make your run really good. And also once you escape, you get the Fabricate ability where you can just like fabricate enhancers and the cool like grenades uh, and flashbangs. So I don't know. I think it's a great class. And last but definitely not least, Selguard. Honestly, doesn't need any explanation. It's obviously an S plus plus tier class. But yeah, that is my ranking for all the special classes. Hope you enjoyed.